What's up everyone, coming at you guys with a video I haven't really done on this channel yet, which is kind of just like a straight up regular deck profile. Normally I'm not really a big fan of these just because I think people tend to get kind of long-winded with them, kind of ironic coming from me, but I just think people tend to talk too much about the cards that aren't interesting in their deck and not so much about the choices that are. So this is going to be just a Mastemon BT6 deck profile. I did get the idea from Ace TCG. Pretty much took his list card for card, made like 2 changes, and I'll go over why I made those changes. But for the most part, this is a very fun deck to play. It's very fast, very explosive, and you can definitely compete with a lot of the other tier 1, tier 2 decks that are out there. So just starting off with the eggs real quick. Upamon. Just draw when you're at 3 or less security. Pretty self-explanatory. I don't play a 5th egg because you don't need it. Games are usually over by the time you get to the 5th egg, so not super necessary. Alright, and then we have 4 Starmon. Again, self-explanatory. You play that in every yellow deck. 4 Pulsemon. Same deal. Pulsemon, especially in Mastemon decks, gets a lot of value because you can bring it back from trash when you're at 3 security exactly. So you gain the memory and you draw the card, and especially with Mastemon, it turns it into a 3-cost Digivolution instead of 4, which is obviously very good because that usually means that you're not passing the turn over. Very strong. Alright, and then here's where the deck gets pretty interesting, is you're running 4 Bushiagumons. Normally, most people only play like 2 or 3. I think the 4 is the correct call, and when I saw that on Ace TCG's list, I was like, wow, yeah, that's definitely the right move to make. Tried it myself, it feels really good, especially since this version of the deck runs 4 Anduamon, which is called a level 3. So with the Mastemon play, you can sometimes get out Bushiagumon from your trash, and then you can get a Bushiagumon from your hand when you attack. That's 2 extra attacks plus the Mastemon effect, trash security. That's probably 3 more security checks that your opponent wasn't accounting for, which can oftentimes win you the game out of nowhere. So 4 Bushi, definitely the right call. And then we have just 2 Promo Patamon and 2 Salamon for your recovery. Promo Patamon is especially good. I've been a big advocate of this card over Lucemon because this one doesn't brick as much as Lucemon does in like standard yellow decks. If you're running security control, it's a different story entirely, but in a straight up yellow deck, I think Promo Patamon is the right call. And then the 2 Salamon. You can hide this in your raising area, and then the following turn bring it up, attack, and draw a card with the Upamon. And then another thing worth noting about the Salamon, the Patamon, and the Bushiagu is that they're all higher than play cost 3, which is relevant for not getting destroyed by ultimate flares. Definitely keep that in mind. Alright, and then moving on to level 4s. This is the new level 4 from BT6, Mimikmon. I think this card is super valuable in Mastemon decks. On play, if you have 3 or fewer security, gain 2 memory. So this pretty much turns your Mastemon into a 2-cost Digivolve if you're at 3 or less. And that on its own is very strong. If you just play it straight from your hand, it's a play cost 4, which is good. And if you're at 3 or less, it's a play cost 2. So in our rookies, since we're not playing play cost 2s, this can be your play cost 2 in the late game when you need to squeeze out that extra card. So I think it's actually a very good card that is not really talked about too much, but definitely play 4 Mimikmons. I wouldn't play any less. Next 3 Gatomons. Just recover 1, and it's a blocker when you have your Mastemon out. Even just playing Gatomon from hand doesn't feel too bad for the recovery, but obviously, ideally, you want to get this out with Mastemon. I think 3 feels good. I see it when I see it, and when I want to see it, so 3 for sure. Here's where I made the change from his list. He was running 4 Wizardmons. I found Wizardmon to actually be kind of slow and unnecessary in this deck, especially since I Digiburst with my level 5 a lot, where I tend to keep the Upamon underneath and not the Wizardmon, just because I value the draw over the memory. Other than that, Wizardmon is okay because it's play cost 4, so same thing as Mimikmon, but honestly, I found myself wanting some 1-cost Digivolves, which is why I put the Pedomon back in. I was considering Terurimon, which is just a 6k vanilla attacker. I think 6ks are very good right now since there's a lot of like 5k or lower hate, but Pedomon pretty strong anyways, even if it's just for the turbo Digivolve. the one cost fast. Sometimes you just need that extra memory when you're clamming. All right, level 5s, it's the 4 Angelomon. I think this card is super valuable right now. It really lets you keep up in tempo with a lot of the other meta decks, and obviously since you're in Mastemon deck, the 3 security or less inheritable is very easy to get off. I think you definitely run 4, and especially in this format, actually the security attack -2 on Digivolve actually comes up quite a bit, because you can stop your opponent from actually getting lethal with that more often than not. So definitely take that into consideration. It's not just an inheritable bot like it has been in the past. All right, next 3 War Growlmon and 2 Rise Greymon. These are your Digibursters that help you fuel your trash for Mastemon effect. War Growlmon is important because it lets you pop the memory blockers. So oftentimes you're getting stuck not being able to Mimicmon or Blinding Ray, and War Growlmon will help you pop those. Rise Greymon does a similar thing with its inheritable, but obviously you have to attack to get that off. But the Digiburst 2, oftentimes, even if you don't have a tamer, you're still Digibursting 2 to fuel your trash. But if you do have a tamer, it's obviously insane value, just getting the TK out for free. All right, then finally, star of the show, Mastemon. This card is pretty insane right now. I know I mentioned this in my meta snapshot video, but trashing security effects are very strong right now, just because everyone's security is like pretty stacked, and there's a lot of cards in there that you just like don't want to hit, and if you can just trash them and not have to deal with them, then it's obviously super good. Mastemon is insane value card. You can cheat it out for very low memory. It can let you recover. It can let you get out extra attacks. It can pop Digimon on your opponent's board. You can draw. You can heal. This card is pretty much just like an insane toolbox card, especially in yellow. So for Mastemon, don't sleep on Mastemon. And it's going to get stronger once the Mastemon starter deck comes out. So this is just a really good investment card, no matter what. And, you know, if you're just a Mastemon fan, then there's no reason to stop playing the deck. 2 Dynasmon. This is kind of just like your backup level 6. You could even do War Greymon, I think is fine too. Dynasmon is interesting because it helps you dig for pieces, and the recovery effect when you are at 3 or less security obviously synergizes with what Mastemon is trying to do. And sometimes just getting off a free Blinding Ray is also very strong, and, you know, helping you have like that 1 extra security on your opponent's turn is really strong as well. It helps you live, especially with a lot of the more powerful decks this format. And for level 7s, it's 2 Millenniumon. I was testing 2 Zwart Defeat, and it did feel strong, similar to the Mastemon deck from last format, where you would run the 2 Zwart Defeat, 2 Mastemon, and the 4 Lord Nightmons. But honestly, I think Millenniumon has a lot more value right now. It just helps you get over some cards that this deck would otherwise have trouble with. And sometimes you just need to go Mastemon, you know, get off your value play, and then clear one of their bigger guys with the Millenniumon. And Millenniumon is also very tough to remove for the opponent. So it's just a really strong floater, great value card. I think this is the right level 7 to play in this deck over Zwart Defeat. And lastly, 3 TK, self-explanatory, and 3 Blinding Ray, self-explanatory. All right, so that's pretty much the deck profile. I'm not going to go into too much detail outside of, you know, a couple of the combos. So obviously, your main combo is going to be going Mastemon into Mimicmon. So that way you can get the Mastemon out for 2, and then you can follow up with the Millenniumon, or you can extend with Blinding Ray. You know, if you have an Angelomon underneath it, you can attack and get, you know, another level 3 out that way. That's pretty much going to be like your main source of power in this deck and the play that you're going to be going for. As far as matchups go, this deck has an insane security control matchup. Honestly, it's pretty much unlosable if you know what you're doing. Trashing security with Mastemon is so good against that deck, and you can go wide so quickly with the Bushiagumons and the Angelomons that it's tough for them to keep up with the pressure you're putting out. Every other matchup is so-so. The Gabu Bond matchup is winnable, but if they outdraw you, then they're just faster than you. You do have comeback potential, especially with like your healing, but you have to play it really smart. Other Agubond, very similar. What else? What other matchups are there that I've play tested against? Black, this is a pretty strong matchup, especially because Millenniumon helps you remove the Craniumons, and again, you can just go wide and outvalue them. Every other matchup is pretty 50-50. If you know what you're doing and they're not expecting Mastemon, then you can definitely bust out a win. Alright guys, so just a really quick deck profile. If you're not sure what to play BT6, or you're just looking for a fun deck, or maybe you just wish that you could play yellow this format, this is definitely one to try out. Please give it a look. You'll definitely win some games with it. Alright, GG's.